The 1923 Great Kanto earthquake struck Japan on September 1st, and it remains one of the most catastrophic earthquakes in the country's history. It hit the Kanto region, which includes Tokyo and Yokohama, with a magnitude of 7.9, shaking the entire area with unimaginable force. The earthquake lasted for just under 4 minutes, but in that time, it caused massive destruction. Buildings in Tokyo and Yokohama crumbled to the ground, and fires broke out everywhere. These fires spread rapidly, wiping out entire neighborhoods and causing more devastation than the earthquake itself. It is estimated that over 140,000 people lost their lives, many from fires, collapsing buildings, or being trapped in the rubble. Over 1 million people were left homeless. In the aftermath, the Japanese government and military were forced to act quickly to provide aid and organize recovery efforts, but the scale of the disaster made it a huge challenge. The Great Kanto earthquake marked a turning point in Japan's preparedness for natural disasters and also led to significant changes in building codes and urban planning to better withstand future earthquakes. The 1900 Galveston Hurricane remains one of the most destructive natural disasters in American history. It struck Galveston, Texas on September 8th with an incredible force. This Category 4 hurricane unleashed winds exceeding 130 miles per hour, catching the bustling port city completely off guard. At the time, Galveston was thriving as a major port, but its location made it especially vulnerable. The island sat just 8.7 feet above sea level, leaving it exposed to the full fury of the storm. When the hurricane struck, huge waves and a powerful storm surge flooded streets, homes, and businesses. The destruction was inconceivable, as buildings were reduced to rubble and much of the city was left unrecognizable. The human toll was heartbreaking. Between 6,000 and 12,000 people lost their lives, making it the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history. It completely destroyed Galveston, and it would take years for the city to fully recover. In the aftermath, the residents and officials built a seawall and raised the city's elevation to protect it from future storms. Galveston would never be the same, but its story remains a powerful testament to human determination in the face of disaster. The Peshtigo Fire, which occurred on October 8, 1871 in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, is one of the deadliest fires in U.S. history. Although many people associate the Great Chicago Fire with that day, the Peshtigo Fire caused a significantly higher loss of life. The fire was sparked by a combination of dry conditions and human activity, with the nearby lumber camp's controlled burn getting out of control. The flames spread rapidly across the dense forest in the small town of Peshtigo. Strong winds pushed the fire forward at an incredible speed, and within hours, the entire town was engulfed. People tried to escape by running to the Peshtigo River, but many perished as the fire surrounded them. In total, the fire killed around approximately 2,500 people, though the exact number is unclear due to the extent of the destruction. The town itself was completely wiped out. The fire left behind nothing but ashes, and it wasn't widely reported at the time because of the larger Chicago fire overshadowing it in the media. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815 is one of the most powerful volcanic events in recorded history. Located on the island of Sumbawa in Indonesia, this catastrophic eruption sent massive amounts of ash and volcanic material into the atmosphere, darkening the skies for months. The eruption itself, which began on April 5, 1815, culminated in a massive explosion on April 10th, releasing an incredibly powerful force that was felt as far as 1,600 kilometers away. The eruption killed tens of thousands of people instantaneously from pyroclastic flows and ashfalls. But the true global impact came in the aftermath. The volcanic winter it triggered caused a dramatic temperature drop worldwide, leading to what is known as the Year Without a Summer in 1816. Crop failures, food shortages, and famine spread across the northern hemisphere, particularly affecting Europe and North America. The eruption triggered economic hardship and social unrest. It altered weather patterns for years, with countries experiencing cooler than usual temperatures, erratic weather, and reduced agricultural output. The effects of Tambora's eruption were felt across the globe, making it one of the most significant natural disasters in human history, both in terms of its immediate destruction and its long-term environmental and social consequences. The Bhola Cyclone in Bangladesh, which hit on November 12, 1970, holds the record as the deadliest tropical cyclone ever recorded. It formed in the Bay of Bengal and brought winds reaching 115 miles per hour, along with a powerful storm surge that devastated coastal areas. The cyclone hit without much warning, catching many people off guard, especially in low-lying regions where the warning systems were inadequate. As the storm tore through, it left a trail of destruction in its wake. Entire villages were submerged, homes flattened, and roads washed away. The human cost was staggering. Between 300,000 to 500,000 people lost their lives, many drowning in the rising waters or crushed beneath collapsing structures. A cyclone that kills that amount of people is wild. And those who happened to survive didn't survive mentally as they faced the grim consequence of destroyed communities, widespread displacement, and the loss of loved ones. The cyclone also caused massive disruption in the region's agricultural heartland, leading to food shortages and economic instability. It pushed the region to rethink everything, from better warning systems to stronger infrastructure in case nature strikes again. In 526, the city of Antioch, a thriving hub of the Byzantine Empire, was utterly transformed by one of history's deadliest earthquakes. On May 20th, what began as a typical day turned catastrophic when the earth suddenly roared to life. The ground shook uncontrollably, and in a matter of moments, homes, mosques, and lively public spaces crumbled into dust. Flames erupted everywhere, sparked by toppled oil lamps, turning the once bustling city into a fiery trap for those desperately trying to escape. In the blink of an eye, Antioch was engulfed in chaos and flames. The destruction was unimaginable. More than 250,000 lives were lost in an instant. For the survivors, the nightmare was far from over, thanks to the relentless aftershocks, crippling hunger, and the rapid spread of disease. Amid the chaos, rescue efforts were nearly impossible, forcing countless victims to struggle for survival in the shattered ruins around them. Antioch, once a jewel of culture and trade, was left scarred forever. The scale of the tragedy was so overwhelming that it became a turning point in the city's history. Antioch never fully recovered, but its status diminished in the centuries that followed. The 1931 China floods are considered one of the deadliest natural disasters in history. They kicked off with heavy rainfall, snowmelt, and the overflowing of several major rivers, including the Yangtze, Yellow, and Huai rivers. The relentless rain caused the rivers to swell, and by the summer of 1931, the floodwaters breached levees and flooded vast areas of central and eastern China. The whole cities went underwater, and millions of folks had to up and leave their homes. The water, on the other hand, kept rising, trashing crops, drowning livestock, and wiping out entire villages. It was a total disaster, with about 150,000 people losing their lives right off the bat, whether from drowning, disease, or just not having enough food. And as if that wasn't enough, the flood brought along nasty diseases like cholera and typhoid, taking out even more people. It was a massive humanitarian crisis. Tens of millions needed food, shelter, and medical help. The government wasn't exactly quick on the draw, and to make matters even worse, the ongoing civil war between the Kuomintang and the Communist Party made it super hard to get any relief efforts going. The contemporary Haiti earthquake struck on January 12, 2010, with a magnitude of 7, devastating the already vulnerable country of Haiti. The epicenter was just 25 kilometers southwest of the capital, Port-au-Prince, a city of over 2 million people. The earthquake hit at 4:53 p.m., and within seconds, the entire nation turned upside down, leaving a scene of chaos and destruction. The country's already weak infrastructure was incredibly devastated. Government buildings, homes, schools, and hospitals all crumbled to the ground. The presidential palace was reduced to rubble, and Port-au-Prince became a disaster zone. It's estimated that over 230,000 people lost their lives, with many more injured and trapped under debris. In the days and weeks that followed, the aftermath was nothing short of a nightmare. Around 1.5 million people were left homeless, many forced to live in temporary shelters under harsh conditions. The devastation was compounded by the lack of resources and medical supplies. The already impoverished country struggled to provide immediate relief for those affected. International aid came quickly, but the scale of the disaster, combined with logistical challenges, made relief efforts difficult. The 2010 Haiti earthquake remains a reminder of how fragile infrastructure can be in the face of natural disasters and the long-lasting impact they can have on a nation. In 1887, the Yellow River turned from a source of life into a force of unparalleled destruction, unleashing a flood that would reshape history and claim countless lives. It all started when the river broke through its levees in the northern part of China as a result of consecutive rainfall. As the river overflowed, it spread expeditiously across the plains, flooding entire villages, farmland, and cities. The floodwaters were relentless, washing away everything in their path. The destruction it caused is unfathomable. Whole towns were submerged, and the fertile land, which had been the lifeblood of the region, was turned into an impassable swamp. Tens of millions of people were affected, with estimates of the death toll ranging from 900,000 to 2 million. The majority of the casualties were caused by drowning, starvation, and the spread of disease in the aftermath. The 1887 flood also led to a massive migration of people as survivors fled to other regions to escape the devastation. This flood, coupled with earlier ones, created a permanent shift in China's population distribution.